I can tell you the truth is, there's been 1,000 ideas that went down the river because I didn't have time to do something about it. I got this great idea, and then all of a sudden I arrived at Frankfurt Airport and I had to get to the next gate, and then I made the flight and I went, what was that thing again? It's gone. Yeah, so there has been many times, thousands of times, where an idea and I went, oh my God, I really like that idea, and how can I remember that? You know, and then the next thing, life gets in the way, and that idea's gone. So you have to wait for the next one. You know, it does happen. But you know, just keep playing the good tunes, and hopefully ideas will come to you.
Great show last night. I wonder if you could just reflect a little bit after the concert on how well you did, or from a self-reflection perspective. What I need to do to tighten this up. I need to get a little bit, maybe I need to play this more a little flat. Being the expert of it yourself, that self-reflection process. What did you need to work on from last night?
Well, I can tell you all the things that I could have done better last night. However, that was last night. Now we're here today. You know, the worst thing I could have done last night was started to, hone in on all the stuff that I could have done better. I just needed to let it go and give my mind a break, so I could be in good shape today. I've done enough shows in my life to know when I kind of hit the bullseye, like that show was just right. What was that set list? You know, what did I do? But you had to be there in that moment. There's such an element of spontaneity and interaction with the audience and what's going on in the room and where it needs to go. All those things that feed your instinct are important, and you do that, and you might have recorded the show, and so you write the list and you say, I know this show really works, and then you go and play somewhere else and it doesn't quite work, and all your instincts are saying, don't do that song next, do this one. You know what I mean? It's only, in my observations about being a performing artist, most of the shows that are the same set list exactly are people like the Eagles. And I know when I toured in 1987, I was in a band and we were opening for Tina Turner, who was the biggest touring artist in the world in 1987, right? So we were this powerful rock pop band, and we were lucky. We ended up doing 36 dates all around Europe and England with Tina Turner, right? And I saw every show, and I can tell you that every show was exactly the same. Every word, every phrase, every move, every lighting cue, all that. It had to be, because it's massive, right? So, but every song was killer. And it didn't matter how many times I heard her sing, We Don't Need Another Hero. I could have listened to it another 1,000 times, right? So that's really, artists who have a massive amount of hit songs to perform that they know the audience have come to hear. There's a reason why that set list works, right? I'm not in that category, I can jump and do whatever I want, but I also am smart enough to know, okay, I've got an hour and a half to try and do something that's going to make these people get out of their seat and just have a great time, So I have to call on all my instincts and all my abilities and my knowledge of songs and when to play them and all that sort of stuff. I have to do all that while being Mr. Casual as well, being willing to okay, I'm not going to do that now, I'm going to go that way, and I might go into a stream of consciousness, I might talk about something else, you know what I mean? And a lot of times people say to me, this was the best show because you talk so much. You know what I mean? So sometimes I may be really talkative and I get off and people are really on my frequency for humor and things like that. And so I have a great time and a lot of fun, you know. And there are other nights when maybe I don't feel that way, because actually this whole thing of me being up here and playing and doing all that, the reason why it works is because it's honest. I'm just really, the truth, if you break it all down, I'm just trying to play the best I can and show you who I really am. Because when I'm up here, I make sure that musically and spiritually, I'm open and I'm vulnerable. Because that, I believe, is how love works. You can't spread love if you're like this. If you're guarded, you can't spread anything. So I make sure that I'm like that. I'm open. I'm as big as I can get. See that? Right? And that I'm going to become the channel, because the moment I start thinking about me, I start to block that channel up. So get rid of me and use me to get this, get the love out there. So, got it? Andrew.
I was really impressed last night with all the lighting cues and how they fit into the show.
Yeah.
How much control do you have of that? Or do you think
None.
it's that?
I don't think about it at all.
It's fantastic.
It's all Zach. Tell me another solo acoustic guitar player who has lights like me. None. None. That's how many. And you know why? Because I found somebody, well, Brian, my manager, said to me a long time ago, there's a young fella from Chicago, we should maybe give him a go, and you know, he's brilliant, blah, blah, blah. And he came and did the first Christmas tour with us. We carried lights and he was working like a Trojan. But the light, and I saw photos and some videos, I said, oh my God, this guy's great. Well, what he's doing now is so jaw-dropping every night, you know? And who else sounds like this? Nobody, because I've got Steve. Nobody sounds like, makes it sound like he does. Nobody does lights like Zach. And nobody plays like me. There's something going on, isn't there? Yeah, it's called, I found my team, you know, and we work together. And I don't want to do it without them, you know. They could go off and work with anybody, and people would love it and appreciate it. But what we are creating as a team, no one's ever done that before. It's completely unique. Hallelujah. Isn't that wonderful? Yeah.
What musician have you massively
This gentleman asked me, what's my vision for, and what are the things that I haven't played yet that I want to? Okay.
No, what musician?
What musician have I not? Well, there's a lot of them. I mean, I would love to do a song with Ed Sheeran. I would love to do something with Eric Clapton. Let's see. There's just so many great artists out there, and I don't know kind of where I fit and where I want to go. But my main focus is looking for the right people to work with. I mean, for me, having Larry and Teresa open on this tour brings, I just knew it would bring so much to the night. And I always want to have a special guest artist on tour that really brings it to the audience. If you don't do that, you're not going to get the call to come back and do another tour. You know what I mean? If you don't bring it, get the hell out of here. You know, so you got to really bring it. And Larry and Teresa and Brandon, they sure do bring it. You know, so, yeah. That's a very important part of what I'm trying to do. The other thing I want to tell you before I tell you, the other thing I want to tell you is I've gone through stages of playing really long shows because people loved it, and you know, but I've kind of found that the best way for me to make the night go well is to not allow myself to get too self-indulgent and play too much. You know, like get in there, hit them hard, knock them out, get the door prize and get the hell out of there. You know, all in an hour and a half. So, because we all have an attention span that will eventually get knocked down by me constantly hitting you like that. You know, that is like, you know, you laugh, you cry, you feel everything, you share with your friends. You're in this moment, and all of a sudden it's over. And you realize, wow, I want this feeling again. I want that again. Thank you very much. I'll be back next year. You know what I mean? So, yeah, it's... there are a lot of people out there that I would like to work with, but you know, I'm sure a lot of the young people, you know, they don't want to be hanging around a guy with so much grey hair. It might be bad for their young fans on TikTok or whatever bullshit they're on. This gentleman here said, how do I make the performance, that I'm a performer, not just a musician? Well, that's always been the case for me. Ever since I was, I would say 5 or 6 years old, it was drummed into me by my parents and other adults that when I walk on this stage, I am an entertainer. My father said, if you just want to be a musician, then we'll see if we can get you a job with an orchestra. Other than that, when you walk on stage, you are in the entertainment business, right? And I never forget that, you know. So when I was young, no one told me to do this. It was my instincts, and that was when I watched people who were like compares, hosts of shows, who were clever, funny, had great timing, and made the audience feel great, and then said something about the artist, and then went off, and then came back, and was full of great humor. I studied those people. I watched everything they did. I noted things like the timing of when the joke was going to hit right when everybody didn't expect it. You know what I mean? Stuff like that. I watched everything. I watched Bob Hope movies. I watched The Three Stooges, the Marx Brothers. I watched comedy and I studied people, and I was fascinated by people, you know. And then as I grew up, the artists that didn't do much for me were the ones who I felt straight away, oh, they're in their own world. You know, they've got their head down, they're playing their guitar, and everybody can agree, wow, they really play the guitar well. But there's something missing. What is it? They're not saying, this is who I am, and you know, I hope you like what I do, and by the way, I love playing for you. There was none of that. It was all here, and I didn't like that, because I felt shut out, I felt left out. It's like, am I missing something? Is it going over my head? Blah, blah. All it was that they didn't want to go there. They didn't know about that thing. They were just, you know, I've got to impress you for 45 minutes, and that's what my contract says, and then I'll get my check and I'm out of here. You know, I don't want to see somebody do that. Sorry. I don't care how good you play. I really don't. But I want to know you, the player. When you walk on stage, I want to know who you are and what is important to you by what you do. You know, when you watch James Taylor come out, and he's this kind of nerdy, shy kind of guy with an incredible sense of humor and a great, great gift. He starts to sing and he melts me immediately, and then if I want to be scientific, I go, holy hell, how did he make those words rhyme with that, and then it fit the guitar and all that. And he tells me a story and just breaks me open like that, you know. And then I can't get enough, you know. And then you watch somebody like Stevie Wonder, who I had the joy of being around in the early 80s. Oh, here's a guy who doesn't want to do anything but play and sing, you know. It's a drag for him to have to eat and sleep, because it takes away from his playing and singing, you know what I mean? It's amazing to be around. So there's all that. That's all part of everything, you know. And that's why fans are, like, I'm a big fan of John Wayne, right? And I know so many people who say he's not an actor, he's just playing himself all the time, it's all bullshit, blah, 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 blah. You know, I look at him and I see Marion Morris, the real guy underneath. I see him doing his craft better than just about anybody. You know, Katharine Hepburn said when she got the role with John Wayne in Rooster Cogburn, this is what she wrote. She said, he was the most professional person I've ever worked with. He knew the entire script. He knew everyone's lines. He helped everyone with parts and gave me constant support and love. And she said, he's such a good actor, you'd never catch him at it. And it was beautiful, you know. And that's what she remembered, you know. So I look and see that, to try to see those qualities in someone up on the stage, because we all need to feel part of what's going on here. And that's what I try to do. There's a way of rigorous honesty that you have to do this with, you know, and it takes a while to learn that, because when I was younger, I was trying to build an audience. So I was out there hosing the hell out of you for 2 hours. I was wearing you out, but you were loving it, because no one had done that to you before, you know. And then so then I come back and there's a bigger crowd, and I'm going in for the juggler, you know. And then I come back again, and now I'm going to go for the heart and the juggler and anything else I can get my hands on. And then 5 years later, I come back and play the hall and just be myself, and, you know, okay, I built it, here it is, my arc, let's move on to the next city, that kind of thing. You know. Does that make sense? I'm starting to ramble, which is a good thing.
Yes. No. Yeah.
Okay, what I finished the show with the encore, that was Paul Simon's song, An American Tune, and I led that into Waltzing Matilda, because I'm a dual citizen. I'm an American now, and I'm an Australian. So I put those two together, and that's how that worked. So let me tell you why I did that. Early this year, Emmylou Harris called me about doing a fundraising show with her, and she gave me the song list that she wanted to sing and wanted me to play on. And one of them was An American Tune by Paul Simon. And I thought I'd heard every Paul Simon song. I hadn't. So I heard it, and I was stunned and amazed, not only by the lyric and everything, but the melody and the chords, and what is it about this song? There's something deep and ancient in there. And as I found out, the more people I talked to about Paul Simon's American Tune, people said, oh, it's Beethoven, it's Bach. And I wrote, that's what it is. It comes from Bach. And that's why it's so big. Shall I play a little bit of it for you? So I learned it in many keys because Emmylou experiments, and one day she wants to do it in G, and the next day she does it in an A, and then on the day of the show she does it in A flat. I could dig it. So after the only way I could get the song was to write every chord out. Like if you saw my little chart for this song, I wrote every chord. It's like 4 chords or 6 chords per bar, right?